Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and as you can see, I've got the tie on. We've got the Pokemon Sleep Top Hollow music playing on in the background here. You all know what that means. It is some time for some more Pokemon Sleep news. Now, this news comes to us in the form of traditional news, a maintenance update announcement, version 3.1.0 update. So, they're doing some maintenance starting November 25th into November 26th. Just a few days before the American holiday of Thanksgiving for anyone out there that's in the same country as me. But it's not quite Thanksgiving, it's a couple days before. Anyway, what's all going down? Well, this isn't a huge update, but there are some greater implications that I wanted to discuss with what's going on, that I felt that it was just barely worth making a video over. Notably, Packed Portions Cooking Week preparation. Although, little asterisks here, they've been doing maintenance in a way that they've almost been doing 2 weeks or 2 events worth of preparation in just a single maintenance lately. I think they kind of I think they've been prepping further and further ahead, so we haven't been dealing with as many maintenances. So I think this is also probably prepping the servers and everything for also the holiday event that we'll likely get just a few weeks after the Pack Portions Cooking Week event. That is very notable, and we'll get to why that is the case pretty much right now. Adjustments to certain helpers Pokemon's main skill and main skill chance. Delibird. Before it was Ingredient Magnet S, and now it's becoming Present Ingredient Magnet S. Now, basically, what this change is doing is it's changing it from Ingredient Magnet to Present, which is a variant of Ingredient Magnet. It gets you some ingredients chosen at random, and then sometimes also gets candy for one randomly selected Pokemon on your team. It does decrease the number of ingredients, but the main skill chance is increasing for Delibird. So they are increasing the main skill chance of Delibird as well. Just so that it actually procs this skill a little bit more, and probably gets about the same number of random ingredients as it was before. Now, how much impact is this really going to have? Well, personally, I'm thinking that Delibird, it's an ingredient specialist, ultimately. At its core, it's an ingredient specialist. It's currently got a 1.5% skill trigger rate with mediocre speed of 2,500 seconds. Also, this is very random, but Rayon X recently added this toggle to change it from minutes and seconds to just seconds, which I personally really love because it's a lot nicer to be formatted this way. That's a random side tangent, but I'm very happy with this change on Rayon X's part, having this option here. Anyway, that side tangent aside, middling speed of 2,500 seconds with a 1.5% skill trigger rate. This thing's not proccing its skill. You're not catching Delibird for its skill. At least in the past, that was the case. But now, this is unique. It is the only main skill in the game that effectively can be used to increase your XP gains on other Pokemon. It can effectively be used for candy farming, which as of right now is probably the most unreliable aspect of the XP gains loop in this game, because it is so RNG based off of what spawns you see in the morning, and well, basically that, what spawns you see in the morning. It also is a lot more difficult than things like Dream Shards, which you can just invest a Dream Shard Magnet Pokemon and get a lot of Dream Shards, or you can just invest Sleepy XP Pokemon, or you can just run a Pokemon that you're intending on using if you want Sleepy XP, because that's another way to gain experience gains here. But candies are very, very limited, especially on much rarer Pokemon, like legendaries and mythicals. So having a Pokemon that's good at this particular main skill could be very, very potent. Now, the problem with it is, Present, if you don't know, is a very limited distribution move. Now, here's where credit where credit is due. I was intending to initially just leave this video off, saying that it was just going to be kind of a gimmick on Delibird, and it'd be interesting to see if going forward they make some sort of other main skill that allows us to get candies off of other Pokemon that's a bit more reliable on some other Pokemon, because Having that would just be really nice on an actual skills specialist. Like I said, I don't think this is going to be reliable enough to actually be worth considering a skills build on a Delibird. I could be wrong. We'll have to run the numbers when the numbers are around after maintenance. But ultimately, I'm doubtful. Just because it isn't a skill specialist at its core. But something that I am hopeful for. Christmas is just around the corner. The holiday event, potentially. In the past, every holiday event, we've gotten one ice Pokemon, and one non-ice Pokemon. With every single Christmas we've gotten thus far. First Christmas of the game being out, we got Abomasnow, the ice type, and Delibird, which in this game is a flying type. Last Christmas, we got Alolan Ninetales, ice type, and we got Pawmot, electric type. Well, I think there's a little bit of direction as to where it could go this upcoming Christmas. And like I said, credit where credit is due. I was originally not going to think about this because I didn't realize that other Pokemon in the game got present until I talked with iBen Brown Plays Pokemon Sleep. Where he basically said, I think we're going to get another present Pokemon for Christmas. And I was like, that's odd. And I was going to send him, I was literally just going to look up the Pokemon that learn present in the base games and be like, look, it's just Delibird. They're not going to add another Pokemon with present because it's just Delibird. It's the only Pokemon that could have it, aside from Iron Bundle, but that's kind of its unique own thing. Not realizing that there are other Pokemon that actually can learn present. Now, granted, it is an egg move, I assume I don't know how breeding works in the base game, or egg moves in the base game. I'm assuming that when a Pokemon comes from Delibird, you probably have to breed it with Delibird to get present. But either way, there are some Pokemon in the base games that can get present as part of their learn set. It's a very, very limited distribution, and most of these Pokemon are already in the base games. Pikachu, Raichu, Alolan Raichu's not in the base game, or in Pokemon Sleep. It is in the base games. It's not in Pokemon Sleep, but I wouldn't expect that to be the one with present if they're to give us a skills specialist with present, just because it is a regional variant of an already existing berry specialist. I wouldn't expect them to pivot like that, because that would make hunting Pichu very, very interesting. If its branched evolution could become different specialties. But I don't see that being the case. These guys, Jigglypuff, Wigglypuff, Chansey, Blissey, Igglybuff, they're all already in the game. So that's not going to happen. They're not going to pivot those Pokemon. Cleffa is also already in the game. Abhini. The only exceptions here are Snubbull, which is, I guess, could be Granbull, or Azumarill. Now, I think Snubbull, I'm going to be completely honest, I think Granbull would be a very weird choice, especially for Christmas. However, Azumarill, there's decent grounds for them potentially adding Azumarill. It's actually kind of already in the game. For those that don't know, the Huge Power Soy Donuts, there is a meal that actually features Azumarill in the image. Let me see if I can pull up a little... Here, I'll pull up a little thing here. There's actually a meal. It's one of the desserts. Azumarill's kind of in it. It's the Huge Power Soy Donuts. So, the creators of the game have already kind of... This isn't the best image because it's kind of low res. But either way, you can see that like Azumarill is referenced here as one of the donuts. And Huge Power, for those that don't know, is an ability of Azumarill in the base games. Something that it's pretty well known for. But anyway, that aside, I think there's pretty decent backing that potentially we'll be getting Azumarill as a present Pokemon for Christmas. It might be a bit of an odd pull since it can only learn it from an egg move, and a lot of people don't necessarily realize that. And maybe this is all just random speculation. But it's still interesting. Even if they don't give us another Pokemon with present, because it might be, like I said, kind of out there, given that it is kind of Delibird's signature move, given that it's the only Pokemon that can learn it by level up. It's still interesting that they're branching out to making a candy-generating skill, because it's the only skill that can do this. And it means that they're toying around with the ideas of other forms of XP gains, of other ways to generate candies, skill ways of generating candies. And that means that we might get something further down the road that can actually be a more reliable source of candies. outside of the RNG that is sleep research. Because for those that don't know, every Pokemon that gets added to the game, there's an ongoing issue that the spawn pools at the islands are getting more and more watered down by more spawns. The only real way they can mitigate this is to either make it that newer spawns are only at new islands, and very heavily limiting the spawn pools at newer islands going forward, and the old islands as well. Or instead of making everything super late game exclusive by making it only available at the late game islands, they could make it that there's other ways to gain XP and candy that isn't through so many layers of RNG that you just can't hunt for candies because there's too many things watering down the pools for you to get the candies that you're looking for. So I think this is a potential step towards solving that problem long term, that we might actually get a candy generating skill specialist, but only time will tell. And maybe because of the timing of this update, I think it's very interesting that this particular update, which is likely also the preparation behind the scenes for the Christmas event, it's interesting that this is the one where they're changing Delibird. Because was anybody really thinking about Delibird before, like, we think of it as a Christmas Pokemon. I feel like the reasoning why they're changing Delibird with this update is because they're adding the code on the back end for a potential other skills mon for Christmas. And then thought, this is a skill that would also make sense on Delibird, or it's actually built for Delibird present. But we're adding it on the back end for this other Pokemon that's being released for Christmas. We may as well, in the same update, also change Delibird. That's kind of my thought line. But I very well could be wrong. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, the speculation, and the discussion, actually, before I get into that, they're also changing Darkrai things as well. They're making it that another Pokemon spawns in if Darkrai appears, just to make it less expensive to encounter him, less people get ticked off because he's eating one of their potential valuable spawns. That's cool. I'm always appreciative of more changes to make Mythicals more accessible, because that's been a very big problem since they got released. But that, either way, now for real. If you haven't enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Down in the description, we'll have a link to join the Discord. You can come join us, hang out, talk about all things Pokemon Sleep and the like. Huge thank you to all my channel members. It really means a lot to me that you guys want to show your support financially, despite there being no paid rewards for members. If you too want to become a channel member, then feel free to click that join button down below. And as always, I thank you all for watching, and I hope that you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye now.